So hey everybody, let's switch over to something besides that. Hi everybody who's been waiting for us to do this show for 37 minutes. This is John, and we have everybody with us. Let me show you. There's Todd in the car.
All right, guys.
And
I really
Alex,
apologize
hey.
for this.
Hey.
We're ready to
And
attempt to have
Gail,
a
say
conversation
hello.
about stuff.
Hi.
Sure.
And
Sure.
Gordon, say hello.
I'm here.
Okay. And we should actually have audio in sync. If it's not in sync, then
Alex,
we'll work
did we
on it
drop a
another
link to
time.
anybody that
But,
this is
one of the
the
reasons why
actual
we're really
event?
late today.
Yes, I did. I put it on the last
We
event
figured out
page.
a breakthrough here on how to sync the audio. And so, yeah, we're going to run through some discussion today. This show was supposed to be a talk about Hangouts, produced Hangouts, which is this stuff we're trying to pull off right here. We've got Gail and Gordon and Todd with us. Gail and Gordon are both part of the SEO Wise program, and Todd is somebody we connected with in Google Plus, who caught the SEO Wise program and is crazy enough to find it interesting. And the other good thing is that he's the kind of person that is interested in this tech, interested in helping out. He's got quite a history, and we're going to learn about that history in the second half of the program. But for right now, I want to talk about what you're seeing here, what this is. Hangouts in general, and we'll open this up to everybody in 1 second here, but we're looking at the evolution of communication, the ability to talk with each other without rules, right? We make up those rules. That's kind of what social media started to be. It was, here's a place for everybody to communicate, and we're going to put very few rules on it. And that got really messy, and I think Facebook is an interesting example of that. And now the only rules that apply in Facebook apply to Facebook being able to get profit out of that model, which has turned the entire place into kind of an icky place for everybody. In here. What this is, Todd, you and I have had some interesting discussions.
Hangouts
on
in
that,
general, and we'll open this up to everybody
actually,
in
when
1
we first
second
started
here. But
getting introduced to each other, one of the things you said was that
we're looking at
the
the
SEO-wise
evolution
was a
of
bit of a
communication,
turnoff
the
because
ability
of the name,
to
right?
talk with each
Because it
other
sounds markety, and you went to our website
without
and you
rules.
thought, you read the
We
material
make
and
up
it
those
sounded
rules.
kind of
That's kind of
markety and it
what
turned you off,
social media started to
It
be. It was
Originally
here's
it
a
did.
place for everybody to communicate.
It took a
We're
little
gonna
bit of
put very
digging
few
and
rules on it.
actually to
And that
watch
got really messy.
some of the shows
And
you
I think
put out
Facebook is an
already,
interesting example of that.
and some
now
of the
only
comments.
rules
It
that
wasn't
apply in
just a
Facebook
marketing
apply
issue.
to
You were
Facebook
focused on
being able to get profit out of that
education as
model,
well, and
which has turned
some of the
entire
people
place
that you
into kind
talked
of an
with
icky place for
focused on that.
everybody.
So
In here.
Exactly.
What this is,
Todd,
you and I have had some interesting
I
discussions.
can't
Hangouts in
tell you
general,
how much
and
I've
we'll
used
open
it.
this up to everybody
Actually,
in
when
1
we first
second here.
started
But
getting introduced to each other, one of the audio
we're looking at the
SEO
evolution of communication, the ability to talk with each other without rules.
You read the
We
material
make
and
up
it
those
sounded
rules.
kind
That's
of
kind of
markety.
what social media started to be. It was
originally
here's
it
a
did.
place for everybody to communicate.
It took a little bit of digging and actually to watch some of the shows you put out already, and some of the comments. It wasn't just a marketing issue. You were focused on education as well, and some of the people that you talked with focused on that. So
What this is, Todd, you and I have had some interesting discussions. Hangouts in general, and we'll open this up to everybody in 1 second here. But we're looking at the evolution of
I do.
communication.
I mean,
ability
some of
to
the
talk with each other.
marketing is very similar. Some of the tactics and phrases even have not changed. Originally it did dramatically. It took a little bit of digging. Fewer and fewer people, I think, are getting an honest reality of what it is and what it entailed. So it's a transition period, I think. It certainly has the potential. There's buzzwords like authenticity and transparency that seem to be pretty predominant right now. We'll see how that turns out in 6 months or a year.
Well, I like the authenticity and transparency. I think small businesses and individual brands are going to have not a problem with it, and I want to open that up to Alex and Gail and Gordon on this. But I also see where we're going to have a problem with the big boxes. I don't want to talk too much about those things, though. What I want to ask Gail and Gordon, starting with Gail, and then Alex, I want to bring it to you. I want you guys to just briefly state your experience with web conferencing prior to the SEO Wise program, and what you both have seen or what you think of Hangouts on Air and their potential. All right, starting with Gail. Go for it.
Well, my experience was that it was awful before. I was never a fan of Skype.
I think small businesses,
the delays, the sound quality, the picture quality, it was very off-putting.
I want to open that up to Alex and Gail and Gordon on this. But I also
since then, it's amazing how
I don't want to talk too much about
how easy it is to do just a Hangout. The Hangouts on Air are,
and then Alex, I want to
well, having had experience
I want you guys
doing several of them, it's really fascinating
your
to me.
Experience with
and I see a lot of potential. You don't have
and what you both have.
You don't have a lot of rules holding you down, and you really are only limited by your own imagination right now.
Starting with Gail.
And I think that's very cool. Well, my experience was that it was awful before. I was never a fan of Skype.
I think
the delays, the sound quality, the picture quality, it was very off-putting. And since then, it's amazing how
I don't want to talk too much about
how easy it is
more stuff
to
that I'm used to having in my house.
The Hangouts on Air are,
but no, my brother is
doing several of them, and I mean it's amazing how much they need to bring.
Right. Okay. Gordon, let's move to you. And are you there with us, Gordon?
I'm here. Yeah.
So, you have a very unique perspective coming from where you're at and doing what you're doing right now. I mean, first of all, I don't think people understand how old you are, and I say that with no disrespect. I say that in all respect because you have been on this planet Earth longer than anybody else in this call, yet you have managed to keep yourself up to date and continue to update yourself with technology and how things are. And so, first of all, I commend you on that. Right?
Thank you.
What do you see going on with Hangouts? How do you feel about them, and do you see yourself being able to use these yourself for communicating and building relationships?
Well, when we first met, you discussed the possibility, had a vision for me to actually produce a live program regularly around the issues where I share my strength in recovery from disaster and loss and grieving and helping people.
Yeah.
And
all,
especially bringing the spiritual dimension into their experience. So I see that as a potential. However, I have so many other things going on right now in my writing. Well, and when we publishing first met endeavor, you discussed that's a little bit still out of reach. And actually, then when I encounter all of the technology demands regularly, such as you exemplified around the issues afternoon, where I'm then I share my strength. It's even more daunting. Recovery. I'm still back on loss, learning to helping people. Comment on someone else's post and reshare it to the public, and learning to do that, how to capture an image and use it to advance someone else's blog post in my writing. So that's where I'm at. Publishing endeavor. That's a little bit still out of reach. And actually, when I encounter all of the technology demands regularly, you exemplify around the issues afternoon, where I share my strength. It's even more daunting. Recovery. I'm still back on loss, learning to grieve, helping people.
Let's move to
comment on someone else's post and reshare it to the public. And learning to do that, how to capture an image.
Because you have dealt with technology for a long time, but what, in your mind, do you see? You understand where we've come, where we're headed. Are you excited about Hangouts, or do you think we've got at least several more years of bumbling around with the tech before it actually looks smooth and good?
Actually, I think the technology is amazing, and it's only getting better. Whether it be Hangouts or the proposed Skype Marketplace that will be released prior to Windows 9,
right?
Or even web building communication, like you would see in, I believe it's called uphere.in. In fact, I know it is because I've used it, where you have basically a Hangout, but it's all web-based. There's no plugins, which could conceivably be a barrier to Hangouts right now, is the use of plugins that are required. But all in all, the technology is amazing. It's the dimensional aspect I'm intrigued by, how people are actually behaving when their faces and their homes and their personalities are being broadcast to the world, their lives, instantaneously.
Right, right.
You are endeavoring to perform a produced Hangout or Hangout on air, and yet there's a lot of people that will just trigger these events as impromptu sessions from their basement, from their garage. I'm sitting in a car. Two Hangouts right now is the use of plugins. But all in all, the technology is amazing. So the social aspects are changing. The dimensional aspects and the social dynamics by how people are actually behaving when their faces and their homes and their personalities are being broadcast to the world, their lives.
Becoming more and more comfortable with just jumping into a conversation.
You are endeavoring to
jumping into a video conference. There was
Hangout or Hangout on air, and yet there's a lot of people that will just trigger these events as impromptu.
Everybody out in the live audience, you're going to be looking at the shot for a while. Basically, we're looking at a picture of Steve Grove. I've got three different pictures in here. One is just a picture of the latest event he did. How many of you guys watched the event at Social Media Week in New York City with Steve Grove talking about the future of Hangouts? Did anybody get a chance to watch that yet?
I saw parts of it.
Okay. Did you skip up to the did you get to the middle of it at all, where HuffPost was talking about what they use it for and how they deal with it?
There were a couple of different things I saw in there in how they were using it. Obviously, the president just trigger these events as UN ambassador yesterday that showed up in one.
Steve Grove. So I've got three different pictures in here. One is just a picture of the latest. I didn't realize they were doing this. How many of you guys watched the Hangouts on there? Event at Social Media. I'm focused on New York City with Steve Grove talking about the future production level. Anybody get a chance to watch that yet? Content market.
I saw parts of it.
Okay, they've already got content. Did you skip to the? So they're using the middle of it at all, where HuffPost was talking about what they use it for and how they do it. Reach out and engage in these.
There were a couple of different things I saw in there in how they were using it. Obviously, the president just trigger these events. UN ambassador yesterday that showed up in one.
Steve Grove. You picked three different pictures of him. One is just a picture of the latest. I didn't realize they were doing. How many of you guys watched Hangouts on there? At Social Media. I'm focused on New York City with Steve Grove talking about the future production level. Anybody get a chance to watch it yet? Just add your name to the list.
I saw parts of it.
They've already got content. They showed they're using the middle of it at all, where HuffPost was talking about what they use it for and how they do it. Reach out and engage.
There were a couple of different things I saw in there in how they were using it. Obviously, the president just trigger these events UN ambassador yesterday that showed up in one.
Steve Grove got involved with 3 different pictures of him. One is this picture of I don't know if you guys watch Hangouts out there. I lead social media in New York City with Steve Grove talking about anybody get a chance to watch it yet?
On Google, right? But what was interesting was, Obama's used to getting all these, every politician is used to getting canned or fed questions, right? Even the press room and all, even when they ask questions that are quote unquote impromptu, they know exactly how to ask the right questions. They know what they're saying. They've had relationships with the White House, right? So the questions are staged, at least as far as we understand them. Obama joined in a hangout, and they brought in citizens of America, no vetting, just here's some people, and this woman just right out of the bat hits him with a question that he answered, but it was addressed in a way that a press agent would never be able to say, because it came from the perspective of that woman, right? It wasn't being spun. It wasn't being influenced by the channel. It wasn't being influenced by anything. It was this woman saying, what are you going to do about this shit? And Obama giving an answer. And that's what I love about this ability. Another quick example, and then we'll open it up to Alex, because I know this is where she really shines on the communication aspect. But, and everybody think about this from a business perspective. Think about how you could use this for your business, for anything in terms of PR. The musician John Legend, right? They just had him show up to, in a hangout you can just create a video party. A bunch of people just get together, have a party. So there's a new trend where you just hop in. So he's a famous celebrity, and he just hopped in and out for 10 minutes of different hangouts, coming in and saying hi. I mean, that kind of engagement, that kind of a, hey, it's John Legend, just thought I'd stop by and say hello, does amazing things for his PR, does amazing things for the relationships he builds with other people, uplifts these people, and it's wonderful stuff. So I'm going to stop there. Alex, what do you have to say about all of this stuff?
Wow, that's a very broad throw over.
Yeah, how about that segue?
Yeah, a few things have been mentioned that definitely caught my ear as someone in the communication department, and it goes back to when you were first talking and you said this is, did you say it's revolutionizing or evolutionizing the way that we communicate? An interesting and bold statement to make, John Ellis.
Yeah.
Many communication scholars would disagree with you that we have always communicated in a very similar fashion. We just find new ways to get past two things, and I've mentioned this before, that's space and time. Those are the two barriers that we have always found in our communication. So anytime that we develop some sort of technology and use it for communication purposes, it's to somehow get further past those two barriers. So I don't know if I'd say that we're revolutionizing or seriously changing the way that we communicate, though the one big change that I do see that you mentioned with social media is this idea of mass personal communication. We are taking what used to be considered personal communication between two people and making it public in a mass media way. That is something that has been given to us recently, and I don't think it's been studied enough in communication yet for us to really figure out what it's doing for us. But what Hangouts adds to that is that we're doing that now, but with nonverbal expression. We are now doing that in a way that we're slowly minimizing the anonymity that is a part of online communication, and it's further developing that personal aspect of communication in a mass way, because anybody can watch us communicate like this. So our personal communication with nonverbals is now shown to everybody. I don't know where I see that going, and I apologize for my dog right now. super excited.
We see that.
You know, he's always got to find his way in. But I am really interested to see where it ends up going.
All right. Anybody, Gordon, Todd, Gail, anybody have any comments or anything you want to add on top of what Alex just said?
Well, I actually find it very interesting because, you know, when email started and it was all, you know, we were emailing rather than phone calling. We weren't talking to each other as much as we were typing. And then, of course, texting took over, and it's all in abbreviations, and you're not supposed to even use punctuation, and there's a lot of criticism of that, though it has its time and place. With this, we're going back to talking to people and having much richer conversations because of it, even more so than we had on the telephone.
Absolutely.
You know, I was able to have a critique of my manuscript by someone in another state, and we had a hangout for 2 hours. There's no way I would have been able to have done that on the phone for to my ear for 2 hours and concentrated. So it's enabling communication among people who are not close to one another, and yep. I think that's phenomenal.
I have to agree. I think when you take it from that perspective, Gail, and you think about what it changes, it starts with communication, and then I think this is going to change everything else, because that's all we need. We needed to be able to communicate this personally, this closely, this quickly with everybody. And now that we can do that, I think we can accomplish much greater things. I think it's going to change everything, including government, including I just see this as the sweeping change that affects mankind in the best way possible, or brings about the zombie apocalypse, one way or the other.
No, we're talking more Terminator than zombie, but.
Sorry, what, Gail?
We're talking more Terminator than zombie, I think.
Probably. But, you know, zombies are popular, so I figured I'd bring that up.
Right.
Just trying to deal with the trends. All right, I think we've done at least 15 minutes, Alex. Let's go into talking about Todd. Hey, Todd.
Hi.
So, everybody, I'm going to pull up this slide that I put together about Todd. So, here we go.
God.
This is Todd LeBeau, and we know how to pronounce his name now. It's LeBeau. It's a French name. You don't pronounce the C. All right?
Nope.
So, this is Todd's cover photo on Google+, and you're looking at the 3 helpouts that Todd offers through Google Helpouts. What Todd does right now within Google+ is engage and talk to people and help people about Flipboard. He's very passionate about what Flipboard can do, and he's even helped me already with just what we're doing with our Flipboard, Alex, and ways that we could improve it. Todd started paying attention to SEO-wise, and we connected and got together, and loved what he had to say, loved the way he thinks, and just great to have him as part of the conversation. And I'd like to bring you in, Todd, just to talk about who you are and what you do, and then maybe we can just talk a little bit about Hangouts production and go from there. So everybody, let's say hello to Todd. And Todd is driving in his car, and he's on his Droid in the Hangout. Right, Todd?
I am. Yeah, I'm on the interstate right now. Crawling at 25 miles an hour.
Nice. And where are you living? Where are you at, Todd?
I live in West St. Paul, Minnesota right now. I have a home in Colorado. Have spent the last 2 years here in Minnesota with my fiance.
Very cool.
We're both kind of in a transitionary period. She's got almost 25 years in financial services, and I have well over 2 decades in the IT field. And so now it's time to rethink things.
Right.
Certainly Google Plus and everything that Google does brings a lot of options to explore by far.
Absolutely. And you've done some interesting things in your tech life there. You worked on Windows 7 at one point. You seem to be much more on the PC side of the universe. Did you recently come over to the Mac world, or?
Actually, it was a strange series of events. I was strictly PC. Macs were elitist. They were any number of different things that working for Microsoft and Microsoft-related companies would say in a negative manner. In fact, a year before I started working with Apple, I decried their products altogether. Couldn't stand them. Got thrown an iPhone and an iPad and fell in love with it. The simplicity, the beauty of it, the options of carrying around a heavy laptop, the communication abilities opened up a whole new world. And that brought me into Android and back into Google. I've been a Google Mail, when it was called Google Mail, user forever. I started G+ when it first came online and abandoned it about 3 weeks later. It was a joke to me at the time. Now I see it as something entirely different. And now it's all sorts of operating systems, but more so on how they interconnect with each other.
Right, right. Yeah, you do high-level IT stuff. I mean, I'm down here with end-user applications. You do high-level IT coding, right? You're up in that world of things.
But my focus has always been ultimately that I buy the products I work with.
Right.
And if they don't work, I'm not going to buy them. They're junk, and I'm not going to promote them. I'm not going to sell them. I'm not going to market them. I want nothing to do with them. Give me a good product for an honest value, and that's how I work and that's how I live.
Right. So, just looking at, you've watched a couple of SEO-wise shows. You got into Google Plus before you even watched the show. How long have you been messing around in Google Plus? Let's ask you that.
6 months.
6 months, okay. And are you active in any other social spaces?
I'm part of what was it? The Helpouts.
Right.
Community, which is a private community for providers.
Right.
And I kind of ruffle some feathers here and there.
Well, that's part of Google. So outside of Google Plus, are you in LinkedIn or any of those places? Do you spend time there?
Nope. In fact, I refuse to do LinkedIn altogether because of security concerns, and I still have a Facebook developer account, but Facebook's privacy concerns became so convoluted that I just wiped out 99% of my data and said enough is enough. It's great if you want to keep in touch with people that you already know, friends, relatives, things like this. But for engaging on any type of intellectual level, education level, it's not viable for me.
Right. So Google Plus, I think you saw it as a bit different, right?
Yeah.
And you've been messing around with it for a while. You saw a couple of the office hours shows, and you're on this show with us right now. What do you see the big potential? I've talked with you a bit about production, about the possibilities of what this can be used with, the conferencing side of things, the show side of things. Do you see? Am I insane? Am I wrong to go down this road of technology, or is this something that you're like, this is absolutely something that businesses will grasp onto? And then from your IT perspective, do you think that the leapfrog that we've taken here in trying to make these productions work out, that I'm missing the boat entirely and Google's going to release a product that's going to take care of it?
I don't think you're missing the boat at all. Whether Google turns around and buys up the technology from other companies, either to make it better or to rid themselves of a competitor, who knows? I mean, look at the Facebook thing that happened this last week with WhatsApp. That was a smart move on their part. what you're doing is unbelievably fantastic with so much potential. You could spend a year poring over all sorts of different things on it. Corporate America, I'm not so sure. They can't figure out whether or not their CEO should be public or private.
Right, right. Well,
small businesses, on the other hand, are forced to market themselves just as individuals are. This is the way I want to portray myself. This is what I believe in. And that's where this technology is an amazing tool and an amazing asset. But it comes with some concerns.
Right, right. And you actually nailed it. I mean, I think the big message you said there, and I'd like Alex to chime in, Gail, Gordon, is that small businesses, or individuals for that matter, have a distinct advantage at this point. You know? Gail, Alex, anybody have anything to say about that? How do you feel about that? I mean, I understand that we're all a little depressed and sad that we now have to do it all for ourselves. On the other hand, we just need to be ourselves. Start with Alex.
Yeah, I mean, just from, you know, being the voice of a brand, there's the pros and cons to being such a small brand. Like, it's really easy for us to represent SEO-wise in an authentic way because it's pretty much us, John. It's just the two of us, so it's easy for us to be like, we're SEO-wise because that's who we are. We can kind of do what we want with it. On the other hand, I look at someone like the HuffPost, the resources that they have, oh, not fair. Not fair. Like, I'm just like, if I had that staff, if I had that room, if I had that kind of money, it's just, there's a pro and a con to it because they have so many resources for them. However, they have a lot more employees to think about, and they have a lot. They've distanced themselves from this idea of authenticity for so long that I think it's hard for them to get back to it.
So you mentioned the HuffPost, and I would say that of all of the corporations, especially using Hangouts, they've done a stellar job at attempting to be transparent and letting their social media voices just kind of be who they are, even to the extent of you pointing out some posts from the HuffPost that were, remember we had a whole section.
Yeah.
We're gonna call it. What's
yeah. There's one of their social media people. They're going a bit far. I think I think it's got to be a young guy. Like, just from the stuff that they were posting, I was like, you're a young guy. You're someone that I would teach. Just because of the content that they were putting out. I'm not calling out the HuffPost. I think that they do a fantastic job. They were just the first example that came to mind that has so many resources, and I mean they have they're the news. Like, who has it easier than the news? You can cover anything because it's news.
Right.
It's not there. But no, the HuffPost does a great job. But you look at these other huge, like, I'm so sad to say, Time Magazine, because I love Time Magazine. I've loved them for as long as my dad has been handing them to me, but they aren't doing authenticity right. They aren't doing Google Plus right, and they have so many resources and they have so much potential. It saddens me.
So that's.
But they also have so much bureaucracy.
Yeah, there you go. I was waiting. So let's. So go ahead, Gail. I want to hear you. What would, if you ran Time Magazine, what would be your excuse? Right? What's the reason?
I don't. It's just that, you know, you get into, Time Magazine's been around for a very long time, and a lot of HuffPost is more new, and is shown to be more adaptive than a lot of the bigger companies. I think New York Times actually embraced, I don't think they do Google Plus or Hangouts or anything like that, but they do use videos extremely well. You know, but the thing is when you have an old organization that's been around for a long time, people get stuck in the way that they used to do things, and it's hard sometimes for them to, it's easier for one person to adapt than for an entire company to adapt, especially when you've been so successful for so long doing it the way that you're doing it.
I have to agree. I absolutely agree. Is it going to make a in other words, for Time Magazine, is it really worth it for them to allow their people to just be who they are, which is a risk, right? Because now we've got people being allowed to be who they are, and all of a sudden somebody in, you know, Office 357 in New York could say something on air representing Time Magazine, and we have a big problem, right? This is the whole reason we use qualified journalists. This is the whole reason we use broadcast news people, because they're trained with how to talk in front of live audience. They're trained with what to say to represent the company or the channel, right? And so what we're saying is everybody now has a voice, and your business has a choice. And Time Magazine doesn't have to put everybody in their company online and let them talk. But they should certainly train specific individuals to be voices for Time. And that's, you know, I think that's where these corporations are going to need to change. Is if they want to have a relationship with people, they're going to need to present some people to represent their corporation. And Gordon, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's a very different way of looking at it from how they have all of these years.
Right, exactly. I think that embedded nature is what's got them, you know, stuck. And you know, Gordon, just coming to you, what do you think about this stuff? And do you think they're going to be able to make the change? Do you even care? You know?
I don't particularly care.
But this is a really good point, because I do. It's really interesting to look at the generational difference. I really, like, when I don't see Time engaging with me, I'm saying, what are you hiding? My trust goes down. But Gordon's over here, and he's like, I don't care.
So, yeah, and why is that?
I see a lot more insidious problems developing in the news with the FCC talking about putting people to monitor the news from the government. Mm-hmm. And this is a direct threat to First Amendment freedom of the press, and it's all in the good interests of increasing safety and security and education and protecting minority rights. But it's a serious challenge to First Amendment freedoms. So that's where I see the issues. And the particular decisions that Time or New York Times makes don't concern me as much as that.
Interesting. So you're more concerned about the larger perspective, which
right.
So there's a bunch of stuff going on there. Let's just catch everybody up real quick. We've got a couple things happening. One, and I'm taking you guys off camera if you need to get up for a second, do something. What we've got going on with these rules is we've got net neutrality, which is what currently exists and what we're trying to keep active. And no, I am not an expert on all these documents and all the legal aspects of what's going on. I'm going to give you my plainclothes view as a consumer of what I see happening. Okay? Anybody out there that actually knows more about it wants to come on the show and tell us, I'd love to have you. We've got companies like Comcast and Verizon that are trying to kill net neutrality, and the reason they're trying to do this is because they'd like to make more money. They'd like to make more money, not that they're not making enough already, but they'd like to make more money off you, the consumer, by charging you differently for the different places you go on the web. Right? If you want to go to Google, they want to charge you more. You want to go to some other place, they're going to charge you differently. They want to put packages together, just like they have now, for broadcast television and for cable news, to say, we'll give you these channels for this much, but if you want HBO, you're going to pay this much. Now, the web is different in that sense, right? HBO is a private channel that spends lots of money to make awesome shows, and in order to do that, they need to charge you money. That's how HBO works. But the web doesn't function that way. And there's no reason in the universe Comcast should have to charge you more money to go to Google versus YouPorn or another place on the web. Okay? Shouldn't make a difference. That's what they're trying to do, though, and the reasons they claim is because they can make the net a better place. I love it when people make that bullshit claim. So I'm not sure how Comcast and Verizon are going to make it a better place just by allowing you to pay more for places you want to go on the web. When right now you can go anywhere you want to go on the web, it's all the same. Right? You're paying one ISP for access to the internet. All they're trying to do is itemize it so that they can charge you more. Obviously, there's an issue there because corporations pretty much pay the government to do whatever they'd like to do, and Comcast and Verizon have been putting a lot of money in a lot of politicians' pockets so that they can make this happen. Believe it or not, the FCC is actually trying to fight that. Now, Gordon, I'm not sure about what you're talking about because I know the FCC is doing a whole bunch of things, some of them beautiful, some of them completely stupid. But there is something they're trying to push through to block Verizon and Comcast from any kind of a law that would create or ruin net neutrality. And it's because the FCC is kind of recognizing what's happening there. They get it. Right? The other things you're talking about, yeah, we've got a big problem in the fact that our government is starting to recognize the power that we have by being able to communicate with each other. And you bet they're going to look at how do we need to curtail that, or what do we need to do to supposedly make things safe for everybody. But the real goal here is control. Control of information, control of our ability to communicate, control of our ability to organize. Right? So I agree with you. I see that as being a major, major problem, but a problem for all of us. Right? A problem for everybody. But if we can suppose that greater global issue is down the road or going to be taken care of, let's focus more on, just real quick, I want a response from you just on brand versus personal. For you as a person, do you find that the idea of being open and authentic and representing yourself the way you'd like, do you find that to be, are you happy about that? And do you think you have an advantage over brands for that?
I would say it's a matter of essential for me to be personal and authentic, and not to portray myself as someone different or to offer things that I don't. So I'm on the personal side, I guess.
And for you, that's if all you have to do is be yourself, then it's been made pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
What we talk about together when we have our private consults is how you can take who you are and weave it in with the other people you connect with, right?
Right.
For a brand, we don't really know who they are because all we've gotten is a representation of the corporation, and that's been a staged and created persona, right?
Well, in a sense, I'm trying to make myself the brand.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are the brand. That's the whole concept of a personal brand. There's really no separation between you and your books, right? Because they are you. The product is you.
Right.
And that's Gail, yeah?
John writes not John, I'm sorry. Gordon, you write nonfiction though, right?
True.
Right. So it is a little different for a fiction writer, even though you want to be true to who you are. You can't say the writing is, as a fiction writer, you can't say my writing is me.
No, but the interpretation of it is.
But the interpretation of it, the passions that go into it, certainly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a great point, though. That's a great point, though, that you're looking at the writing. It's still an extension of who you are, and what it boils down to in 2014 is people want to know you before they're interested in anything else you have. Right? With brands that are already existent, there's a loyalty factor there. Time Magazine has 4 million absent pluses on their Google Plus page, right? So they've got loyalty to the extent that people have acknowledged that Time Magazine exists. But they're not going to grow any customers that way. They're not going to improve sales that way. They're not going to do anything for themselves if all they do is gather pluses. So Todd, I want to come back around to you because I think we're going to wrap it up here in about 5 minutes, and we didn't really talk all that much about you and what you'd like, what you offer in Google Plus. But if you could tell people what, you've told us, and me and Alex, you're really not in there promoting yourself. You're in there to help others, right?
I like to. I enjoy it. I like to see the success I've seen with the people that I have helped. It makes them smile. It makes them feel better. It makes them feel empowered. And for me, there's an inner satisfaction with that. Sure, there's a little bit of an ego boost, and I'm kind of blunt about that. Anytime someone can help someone else, they feel better about themselves. I believe that wholeheartedly. And whether it's sharing a sad story or an anecdote story of their life, or I think that's critical of assisting other people. It used to be assistance came going to professionals. When you were sick, you went to the doctor. Well, now there's home remedies by people that have carried traditions for hundreds of years, and it's on a PDF file in a Google Drive.
Yep. Yep.
And that is amazing. Helpouts has medical professionals on it now. That is amazing. I don't have to leave my house if it's like, well, I got a really bad cold and I don't want to take a bunch of medication. What should I at least be aware of in 10 minutes? Can you sum it up for me, Doc?
Right.
That is amazing. So I think the potential for the technology is people can engage in a way to better mankind overall.
Oh, love it. Love what you had to say. And I really think the concept of the help out, I mean, that's really what it is here. I mean, that's what Google was going for. Yes, you can make money. The whole point is that, you got to put food on the table. This is not about doing everything for free, but it's designed to let everybody help everybody else. You don't have to find the expert, because even though a doctor may be exactly what you need, you could find an herbalist, you could find a doctor and a help out, you could find everything you need there. I think it totally changes our access to services. And imagine you get in a car wreck and you can just start a hangout with or a help out with your insurance agent. Show them the scene right there on your tablet, right? Take pictures with it. Here, this is what happened. Here's the guy that ran me over. I mean, that's what blows me mind in just small, simple ways. Uh-oh, did we lose him?
I think temporarily, and he came back.
I think we lost Todd and he came back. That's okay. That's what happens driving in a car. There you are. Are you home, Todd?
Yep.
So the nice
Welcome home.
Yeah.
Sorry, it switched from 4G to Wi-Fi, so.
No, that's good. We got a better picture, honestly, and I love the fact that it switched. So listen, everybody. This is. I know this has been an odd Friday office hours, and I know you've seen in the last 2-3 weeks all sorts of technical issues, all sorts of screaming and yelling and craziness going on. It keeps getting better, and this one, you don't even know what happened behind the scenes to make this show start from one configuration to another in less than 5 minutes. We're going to continue to show you examples of how this works. We're going to continue to improve on it and make it better. If you're interested in knowing more about Hangouts and produced Hangouts and what they can do for you and your business, join the SEO Wise community and get in touch with me or Alex. We can tell you all about it. We'll be doing more of these with other individuals that use OBS and other software. OBS is an open source broadcast software similar to Wirecast. We use Wirecast because I like the support and the stability that I get from the paid product. Again, thank you so much for joining us on this office hours. Alex, do you have anything you'd like to say in closing?
No, just tune in on Wednesday. Not that we know yet what we're doing, but we do plan on changing the trailer, so keep an eye out for that. And I do want to say that Todd is. I knew he was smart, and then we did a short hangout with him, and he's smart. He's one of few that was able to call me out quite quickly on, I guess, my personality. So if you aren't already following Todd, I definitely recommend it.
Very nice, very nice. And do you want to talk about what's happening Thursday, or what we're going to try to accomplish on Thursday?
Oh, sure. So on Thursday we are going to try to accomplish our first glass in the class, and hopefully David Amerland will be available for that. If not, I'll find somebody else. But the subject for the week is perception and communication, so he would be the perfect guest for that. But we tried to test some of it out today. We ran into one technical difficulty.
Yeah, we did.
It's one, but I think it's a big one. So hopefully I can get that figured out before Thursday. But if we don't, it won't be the end of the world.
No, we'll figure it out. It's connecting glass through a secure service. Yeah, that should be interesting. If we have anybody out there, reach out to the glass community. Somebody out there has had to have this problem before and figured it out.
I will. I'll hit up Jeremy Shore, because even if he can't answer my question, he'll tell me where to go, because he's my nerd on hand.
Awesome. And Gail and Gordon, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Both of you, I look forward to talking to you next week, and let's do hangouts. And Gail, we've got food stories. Gordon, looking forward to working with some more of your posts. I know you're hot on that. Thank you guys both for coming into the conversation today. Todd, still there with us? Yes, you are.
I am.
It was awesome to have you, and we will definitely do more, talk more. I'd love to have you more on this or the Wednesday show. And I'm looking forward to learning more from you about how we can improve Flipboard. Again, for anybody who's interested in learning more about Flipboard, learning how it works, Todd opened my eyes to a few things right off the bat that I wasn't even familiar with. It is a fantastic way to cure content for your business, cure content around a keyword space, organize your thoughts, organize files. You can even sell product with it. So, and this is the kind of stuff that I'm not even aware of. So, find Todd, find his help outs.
Well, give me his spelling of his name. Todd?
Go ahead,
Can you
Todd.
spell your name?
It's L-E, V as in boy, E-A-U-C.
Okay. I speak French, so I understand.
There you go. Yeah, he does speak French. You guys, that's right. So you understand it. This has been awesome. All right, we're switching it off back. Hey everybody, except that's the wrong. This is awesome. Let's switch to this. I love Wirecast. There we go. Let's put the right lower third on me. I'm John Ellis, Mad Web Scientist. That's what we're going to go for a title right now. You guys have been watching a Hangout on Air that's been produced. What that means is we're running through Wirecast. It's a little more complicated than a regular Hangout on Air, but it lets me do things like lower thirds, or I can do things like remove the lower third right here, just like this. I can call in other shots like this, and talk to people. I can bring in people that are remote like this. It's all sorts of fun stuff you can do with Wirecast and Hangouts and a little bit of tech understanding. And we've got a company that deals with this. If you're interested in knowing more about it, please contact Alex or me. Join the SEO Wise community. Get in touch with us. We'd love to have you on the Wednesday or the Friday show. We're always looking for people to join the audience or people to come in and be interviewed. For Gordon, Gail, Alex, and Todd, this is John saying have a good weekend. Office hours is over. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Now I've just got to find the actual broadcast and stop it. Bye.